I'm going to tell you the key characteristics that we look for in junior developers. Check it out and subscribe down below.
So let's jump right in. What we look for when looking to hire or interview a recent graduate or maybe an intern or maybe somebody that's entry level coming from another industry is a variety of things. We want the technical skills as well as kind of the social skills and just a display of kind of charisma, excitement, intelligence, and it's always a mixture of those things. So really, what it really starts with is, first of all, most importantly, we need somebody that's technical. You need to be able to communicate technical problems and also solve them. And when we talk about solving technical problems in an interview type setting, if we're going to be interviewing you, we only have maybe a total of 2-3 hours in the entire interview process to vet whether or not you know how to write code. So the way we usually do it is, unfortunately, it's just kind of a cookie cutter standard process. And of course, this changes depending on the industry you're in or what company you're interviewing with. But a lot of companies, and somewhere I've hosted interviews as well, will do the standard stuff like, we want to see that you know how different data structures work, like linked lists, trees, k-array trees, tries, lists, heaps, let's see, hash tables, queues, stacks, stuff like that. We also want to know that you understand how sorting works. So we may want to see if you know how to implement or you understand the differences between the different sorts. Do you know what a bubble sort is versus a quick sort or an insertion sort or a merge sort or something like that? Do you know the time complexities behind them? Do you know that a bubble sort's always a O(n) squared algorithm? Do you know that a quick sort's usually, n log n, right? And most cases, although its worst case could probably be an n squared. So do you understand how this stuff works? Do you understand the time complexities of these? We want to know that, and then we also want to see that you can implement it. So if we're asking you a problem like, tell me if this string is a palindrome, we're going to want to see how you implement it. We're going to want to see that you can write clean and readable code, something that's basically compilable. Even if it's a whiteboard test where you have to handwrite it, we expect that you should be able to write the code on the board, and it should be pretty close to being compilable. Of course, you may forget a few little syntax specifics depending on the language you're in, and that's not a problem. That's what we're going to kind of look past because we all make those mistakes. But the big thing is we want to see that you can implement and then you can explain it. So you really need to understand the data structures, the algorithms, and how they all work. And you need to be able to speak about them in the interview process. So as you're solving a problem, you need to be able to talk about why you chose to use a quick sort instead of an insertion sort. What was the advantage? Did it sort in place? Did it require extra memory? Is it going to work better in this particular use case because it's a small data set versus a massive data set and it's a limited quantity? Is it something where if the array of data or the list of data that we're inputting is near sorted, is it more advantageous to use this data structure or the other? Those types of things are questions that are all free game, and we want to hear you talk about them. The next thing we want to know is, how well do you communicate? Again, this goes along with your technical skills. We want to know, can you ask questions, and when do you ask questions? We want to know, how do you think? So we're going to analyze all these things to determine, hey, are you going to, let's say, survive or grow into a position where you can hold your own in our workplace? Those are all key things we need to know before we give you a offer. So the other things you want to make sure you're practicing outside of your technical skills and your ability to communicate those technical skills is you need to be able to communicate when you don't understand things. You need to have confidence in your ability to say, hey, I don't know how to do this, but I can figure it out, but I'm not going to spin my wheels for days or weeks and kind of lie or tell you that I understand what I'm doing if I don't. Instead, I'm going to seek some advice, I'm going to seek guidance from my lead, and then I'm going to go to implement it. If you're completely lost, again, you need to have that confidence, that trust in your team to discuss that. You need to be transparent, right? We want to see that you have a good attitude. We want to see that if you face issues and problems, or you have a problem with somebody else that you work with, we want to see that you can communicate through it. You can talk through it. You can talk to your lead. You can do your work without having any drama, and that overall you're a positive person, because it happens. When anytime you put people into a closed and confined space and you're working together day in and day out, sometimes you're going to have a little bit of controversy happen, and you need to be able to work through that. So we want to know that you're able to work together with people. And you guys may have differing opinions at times. You may think that your solution's right while theirs is not. And you need to be able to display that in a respectful way to one another. So there's a handful of things here. I think the key points here are you need to know those basics in software development, the basic computer science fundamentals. For you computer science majors out there, you probably already learned them. You just need to refresh on them. For those of you that don't have a formal CS background, go ahead and look it up. There's tons of resources out there. I have other posts on here about it. But look up the data structures, sorting algorithms, and ways to use data structures to solve complex problems. Okay? And then there's tons of resources out there to practice your technical coding skills. Check out websites like LeetCode or HackerRank, right? So the next skills you really need to know, so I just mentioned the data structures and algorithms. That needs to be on your list of things to know as an entry-level developer. The next thing is your communication ability. So you need to be able to communicate at a technical and non-technical level. And lastly, you need to be likable, you need to be trustworthy, and you also need to have a good attitude, okay? So that goes ahead and wraps up this discussion of what we really look for in an entry-level developer or even an intern. So go ahead and leave a comment down below, or don't. Make sure you subscribe. I think it's right over here, and we'll see you next time.